I just got off the phone with an operator who's about to lose $7 million. Not because his property is bad, not because he's a bad operator, but because he made the same mistake that wipes out every investor in every single real estate cycle. He bought at the wrong time using assumptions from the previous phase. And here's where that makes it brutal. The data that told him to buy was accurate. The mistake wasn't the numbers, it was not understanding where he was in the cycle when he used them. Look, I'm Justin, multifamily broker in Virginia, and one of the biggest parts of my job isn't just finding deals, it's helping operators understand when to execute on them. Because here's what nobody tells you: real estate moves in predictable cycles, four distinct phases. Each phase has completely different dynamics. And the strategies that make you money in one phase will absolutely destroy you in another. In this video, I'm going to walk you through some of the complete framework, the four phases, what drives each of them, and then most importantly, the specific mistakes that cost investors millions when they don't understand where they are in the cycle. This isn't theory. This is the exact framework I use when I'm advising clients on whether to buy, sell, hold, or run away from the market. And by the end, you'll know how to read any market you're looking at, identify which phase you're in, and make the right strategic decisions based on what the reality is, not based on what worked last year. All right, let's start with the foundation. Real estate cycles have four phases: recovery, expansion, hypersupply, and recession. Every market goes through all four. The only questions are, how long does each phase last and how extreme does it get? Here's what most people get wrong. They think these phases are about occupancy going up and down. That's not it. These phases are about the relationship between supply and demand. And more specifically, they're about how long it takes for supply to respond to demand. That lag between the developers see opportunity and where their buildings actually deliver, that's what creates the cycle. That's what creates the opportunity. And that's what creates wipeouts. Let me walk you through each phase. And I want you to think about where your market is in the cycle right now. So phase one is recovery. This is where nobody wants to touch multifamily with a 10-foot pole. Occupancy is below the long-term average. Rent growth is flat or negative. There's no new construction because nobody can get financing and nobody wants to build. But here's the key: demand has started to come back. Jobs are returning, household formation is picking back up, and because there's no new supply coming in, occupancy starts to slowly climb. And this is the best time to buy. But it's also when the fewest people are buying because it still feels scary. The headlines are still negative. Everyone's still talking about the last downturn. Phase two is expansion. This is where things get fun. Occupancy crosses above the long-term average. Rent growth accelerates. There's still not much new supply yet because it takes 18 to 24 months from breaking ground to deliver units. So you've just got rising demand, limited supply, and suddenly everyone's making money. This is where most operators feel like geniuses. Their NOI is growing, their properties are appreciating, everything works. And this is where the seeds of the next disaster get planted because developers see these numbers and say, wow, we need to build. And lenders see these numbers and say, wow, we need to lend. Construction starts going vertical, loss of construction. Phase three is hypersupply. And this is where the experience separates hope. All those projects that broke ground 18 to 24 months ago, they start delivering all at once. Occupancy peaks and starts to decline. Rent growth slows, then stops, then goes negative. But here's the trap, and pay attention to this. The average occupancy might still look fine. It might still be at one or above the long-term average, but the direction has changed. You're not rising anymore, you're falling. And if you're underwriting deals in this phase using the rent growth from expansion phase, you're toast. This is where that operator I mentioned, the one about to lose $7 million, this is where he bought. His property was at 94% occupied. Rents had grown 4% annually for the past 3 years. Everything looked great, except 2,000 new units were delivering in the next 12 months. And his lender required 92% occupancy to avoid a cash sweep. And this business plan assumed 3% annual rent growth. Phase four is recession. This is the pain. Occupancy is well below the long-term average. Rent growth is deeply negative. Concessions are everywhere. Owners are bleeding cash. But here's what's happening beneath the surface. Construction stops. The pipeline clears. Demand keeps growing. People still need places to live, but supply additions slow to almost nothing. And that sets up the next recovery. The cycle completes. It always completes. The only question is, were you positioned when it does? Okay, so now you understand the phases. Let me tell you the 5 mistakes that cost investors the most money. Because knowing the phases isn't enough, you have to avoid the behavioral traps. Mistake number 1, extrapolating current trends into the future. Just because rent growth has been 5% for 3 years doesn't mean it'll be 5% for the next 3. In fact, if you're in late expansion heading to hypersupply, it's probably about to be negative. But everyone underwrites using trailing performance. It's easier, it's comfortable, and it gets you killed. Mistake number two, ignoring the supply pipeline. You have to know how many units are under construction, how many are permanent, and when they're delivering. This isn't optional information. This is the thing that determines whether your market is heading into hypersupply or staying in expansion. I see operators skip this step constantly. They look at the current occupancy, current rent growth, and they buy. And 8 months later, they're calling me asking why their property won't lease. Mistake number three, confusing occupancy level with direction. A market at 94% occupancy going to 95 is very different from a market at 94 going to 93. Same number, opposite implications. In the first case, you're in expansion. Rents are about to accelerate. In the second, you're entering hypersupply. Rents are about to crater. You have to know the vector, not just the snapshot. Mistake number four, treating all markets as if they're in the same phase. They're not, ever. While one market is in recovery, the other is peaking in hypersupply. That's why you can't just read national headlines and think you understand your local dynamics. You have to analyze your specific submarket, your specific property class, your specific competitive set. And mistake number five, my personal favorite, this time is different. No, it's not. Every cycle people say we're not overbuilding, we have a housing shortage. Demographics are strong, this time is different. You know what? Those things might all be true, and the cycle still happens because the cycle isn't about whether demand exists, it's about whether supply overshoots demand in the short run. And it always does, every single time. See, the amplitude might change, the duration might change, but the cycle always cycles. Here's what I've learned working with operators through multiple cycles. The ones who survive and thrive aren't necessarily the smartest. They're not the ones with the best financial models or the fanciest pitch decks. They're the ones with discipline. They're the ones who can buy in recovery when it feels scary, who can sell in late expansion when it feels like they're leaving money on the table, who can sit on cash and hypersupply when everyone else is scrambling for deals. Because here's the thing about cycles, the strategy that works is almost always the one that feels wrong in the moment. And that's why most people can't execute it. So let me give you the actual framework I use to make decisions. First, I identify the phase. Here's what I look at: current occupancy versus long-term average, direction of occupancy, rising or falling, supply pipeline, units under construction and permitted, rent growth trajectory accelerating or decelerating, construction starts increasing or decreasing. Those 5 data points tell me which phase we're in. Second, I match strategy to phase. In recovery, I'm buying everything I can pencil. I'm buying ugly deals that nobody wants. I'm buying at a discount knowing occupancy will improve. In expansion, I'm still buying, but I'm being selective. I'm underwriting conservatively, and I'm starting to think about exits. In hypersupply, I'm selling if I can get pre-cycle pricing. I'm holding if I can have long-term fixed rate debt and strong reserves. And I'm absolutely not buying unless there's severe distress pricing. In a recession, I'm preserving capital. I'm waiting, I'm watching for the turn, and I'm building relationships with distressed sellers. That's it. That's the framework. Look, I used to think that being a good operator meant having the best systems, the best teams, the best execution, and those things do matter, but they're not enough because I've seen brilliant operators with incredible execution get absolutely destroyed because they deployed capital at the wrong time. And I've seen mediocre operators with average execution make generational wealth because they bought at the right time. Timing isn't everything, but it's more important than most people want to admit. And here's the truth: the market doesn't care about your story. It doesn't care how hard you worked or how much effort you put into it. If you buy at the peak, you might suffer, period. Understanding cycles doesn't guarantee success, but not understanding them almost guarantees failure. So the question isn't whether you're a good operator. The question is, are you a cycle-aware operator? So here's what I want you to do. Pull up the market you're operating in or looking at, get the occupancy data for the last 3 to 5 years, find the supply pipeline, look at rent growth trends, and ask yourself, which phase am I in? Because once you can answer that question, every other decision gets cleaner. And if you want help analyzing specific markets, I do deep dive market update videos pretty often. I just published one in Richmond and Norfolk walking you through exactly this framework with real data. The video is in the description. Watch it next. See how this works in practice. And if this framework clicked for you, if you're realizing you've been making decisions without understanding the cycle, share this with another operator, because the more people understand this, the fewer catastrophic mistakes get made. I'll see you in the next one.